Thank you. That was a perfect song. I really like that. Well, so this month we've been talking about being big for God. And I got a book for you, Mary, so don't leave before you get that book. Talking about being big for God. And what that means is just, really letting that light within us comes from the Creator that created everything and everyone. Let that light shine. That's being big for God. Don't sit on the couch. Don't wait for something else to happen. Be big in your own way. And so today we're talking about being enthusiastic for God. And I'm going to tell you a story about enthusiasm, just to get you an idea about what it means to be enthusiastic. So there's this farmer. He wants to be a breeder of pigs. And so he's got this female pig, and he's got a neighbor who's got a male pig, and he thinks to himself, well, okay, I'll just call that neighbor and see if I can bring my female over there and get this breeding process started. So they have this agreement, and so this farmer takes his female pig, throws it in the pickup, off they go to the neighbor's house and throw the pigs together, and they're just kind of waiting, and the farmer that has the female pig says to the other guy, well, how will I know tomorrow if this has worked? And the guy says, well, here's what will happen. If this worked, your female pig will be walking around in a circle in its pen. Then you'll know. Okay, so the deed's done. He takes the pig home, goes to bed, gets up in the morning. He's so excited, can't wait to see, is this done, and is this pig walking around? So looks out the window, and there she is, wallowing in the mud as usual. So he calls the farmer. He says, can I bring her back? We'll try this again. Sure, the farmer says. So throws the female in the truck, drives over to the neighbor's house. The breeding process begins, and two guys just wait. He said, just remember to look out the window tomorrow. If she's walking in a circle, we're good. So he takes the pig home, goes to bed, gets up in the morning, looks out the window. Oh, he's so disappointed again. Pig's wallowing in the mud. He says, oh, no. Calls the farmer, says, it didn't work. Can I bring her over again? The guy says, sure. So he brings her over again. They do put her in the pen with the male, and the breeding process begins. And they wait. Takes the pig home. Next morning he gets up and he says to his wife, I just don't have the heart to look out the window. He said, I'm so afraid to be disappointed again. And the wife says, well, I'll look out the window for you and see what she's doing. And he says, well, is she walking around in circles? Is she wallowing in the mud? No, she's not wallowing in the mud. She's not walking around in circles. Well, the farmer says, what is she doing? And he says, well, she's in the pickup truck honking the horn. Now that's enthusiasm. So the question this morning is, where's our enthusiasm? How enthusiastic are we? Are we in the truck honking the horn, kind of enthusiastic about living a life that's filled with God, big for God? Are we doing things that I think somebody got to give me a glass of water again. This only happens when I'm trying to project my voice, I think. So we have to ask ourselves, are we really following our bliss, each of us in our own life? Is that what we're doing enthusiastically? Holmes says in his book, The Power of an Idea, he says, enthusiasm is a joyful trust in life, a happy outlook, a complete assurance and confidence that there is a power within us greater than we are, and we can use it. We say that every Sunday, or you certainly hear it. It should be our purpose to awaken this joy in us again and again and enter into the game of living, not sitting on the sidelines, isolated, but on the field ourselves. It is God's enthusiasm and becomes ours on acceptance. We can just accept this enthusiasm. That's one of the qualities of God. And as Colleen shared a little earlier, the enthusiasm comes from the root word entheos, which is literally to be filled with God. So if you're not filled with this enthusiasm, if that isn't what's happening for you, let's take a look at why not. What might be the reason for there? Here we are, close to the end of January of a new year. Now, are we going to be looking back a year from now and saying, oh yeah, that was just a same old year? Is that what we're going to be doing? Or are we going to be looking at it a different way? Are we going to be saying, wow, God has really been active in, as, and through me. I've had an adventure this year. I've given God an adventure this year. I've had stuff happen to me, experiences greater than even the dreams I've been dreaming. That's what's been happening this year. I've had such a wonderful experience with being of service. When I'm of service, I'm getting rewarded. I'm feeling fulfilled. I'm having fun. It's an enjoyable thing for me to do, just to be of service. And how about love? The love in my heart. I'm feeling a deeper love than I've ever felt before. I'm letting that light is the very essence of God, that light within me. I'm letting that shine. I'm radiating that to everything and everyone in my life. Now, isn't that better than same old, same old? Let's set an intention to have that kind of activity this year so that next year at this time we can really be feeling good about how we did become enthusiastic for letting God shine in our life. George Bernard Shaw, playwright, political activist, he's the one that wrote Pygmalion, My Fair Lady. He said this, "This is the true joy in life, the being used for a purpose recognized by yourself as a mighty one, the being a force of nature instead of a feverish, selfish little clod of ailments and grievances complaining that the world will not devote itself to making you happy." That's what George Bernard Shaw says. He says, "I'm of the opinion that my life belongs to the whole community, and as long as I live it, is my privilege to do for it whatever I can. I want to be thoroughly used up when I die, for the harder I work, the more I live. I rejoice in life for its own sake. Life is no brief candle for me. It is a sort of a splendid torch which I have got to hold for the moment, and I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it to future generations." That's George Bernard Shaw. Now, another one of my favorite ladies, Edna St. Vincent Millay, poet. She was kind of a naughty lady. And she wrote, "My candle burns at both ends. It will not last the night, but ah, my foes and oh, my friends, it gives a lovely light." Now, she lived her life a little bit differently, and I guess what I see from her life, like I do from a lot of lives where we may not really appreciate what these people did on the naughty side. On the other hand, maybe they've given us other gifts. I think of people like Jerry Lee Lewis. Now, I don't think he was necessarily a fine person. He was accused of doing some pretty dastardly things with some pretty young wives. And yet, by golly, I like to listen to that guy's music. He had a gift. He passed it on. And I think Edna St. Vincent Millay, even though she was quite naughty too, her poems are a blessing to all of us. So, if we're not infused, let's go back to that and think about that. If we're not being infused with that bright light and feeling enthusiastic, maybe we got detached somehow. I think we kind of go into the new year thinking, this is my year. I'm going to get it right. I'm going to be the right weight. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to make friends with people who I've maybe had problems with. I'm going to just do this better, that better, really come out of the gate. Well, here it is, the end of January, and many people have that's kind of gone by the wayside, gotten distracted. Maybe somebody got sick. Maybe I got sick. A loved one got sick. We were distracted. Maybe we lost some money in the market. Maybe we lost our job. Stuff happens, and we can easily get distracted from this idea of where we're going. What is our goal? A story about goals is a story about a swimmer named Florence Chadwick. This was in the 1950s, and she had swum the English Channel, and now she wanted to swim from Catalina Island to the California coast. And so she's out there. She's in the water. It is freezing cold. It's frigid. There's sharks out there. And not only that, there's a fog that's covering everything. She can't even see the boats that are following her. One of the boats has her mother and her trainer, and they're, keep on going, Florence. She gets like a half mile to land. She said, pull me out of here. Get me out of this water. And he pulled her out, and she said, I just couldn't visualize where I was going anymore. I couldn't see my goal. She couldn't trust that there was land ahead. So she quit. Well, 2 months later, she tried it again after doing some work on visualizing and remembering that fog or no fog, she had to remember there was some land in front of her. That's what she was going for. And sure enough, after a couple months, she tried it again, and she made it that time because she had her eye on the goal, at least mentally. She saw that goal of land. And that's what we all need to do, like St. Paul says, keep your eye on the prize. Gotta always know where we're going. Set an intention. It's like that picture of if you go out into the water in a ship or a boat and you don't have a destination, what are you gonna? You're just gonna go where the waves take you. You're not gonna get anywhere unless you set an intention. And Holmes tells us to daily have that mental image of what it is you want. Daily. That's so powerful. If we can just do that, how different our lives would be. He said we should take time every day to see our lives as we wish them to be, to make a mental picture of our ideal. And it also includes taking the necessary steps. We don't just set an intention and go eat our bonbons on the couch. That does not work, even though it's tempting. It really, what that means when we're taking the necessary steps is to have our faith intact. If our faith is intact, we're going to listen to that voice within us urging us which steps to take. Holmes goes on, he says, we should pass this picture, our goal, over to the law and go about our business with a calm assurance on the inner side of life something is taking place. There should not be any sense of worry about this, just calm, peaceful sense of reality. Let the law work through and express itself, the experience. Our part is to be ready and willing to be guided into truth and liberty. All doubt and fear must go, and in their place must come faith and confidence, for we shall be led by the Spirit into all good. If we listen, we'll hear that gentle guidance. Our faith intact means we can rest in assurance that there is a power working for us on our behalf. Despite appearances, something is moving in the unseen for my greater good. So we know that has to do with moving, taking a step. And sometimes when things don't go the way we think they should, we really have to, we really stumble a little bit. We have these goals, something happens, and we're just like, we've all been there. Haven't we had a big dream that just somebody pulled the rug out from under us, and we're just like devastated momentarily until we remember that we have a power within. And despite appearances, there's something moving on our behalf. One of those situations happened many years ago. It was in the 1800s at a place called Teatro, Argentina, which is an opera house in Rome. Was the opening of The Barber of Seville. First time. And so, play is over, a complete fiasco. I mean, people are hissing and booing and throwing things. They hated it. And of course, the prima donna, she's in hysterics, as they will do. The leading man, he's talking about suicide. And nowhere can they find Rossini, the composer. Thinking, oh my gosh, did he go do himself in, or where is he? They finally go to his house, and he's fast asleep in bed. They wake him up, and they say, Maestro, are you all right? He said, yeah, I was all right till you woke me up. And they said, well, the play, it was a fiasco. He said, evidently, the barber is not good enough, so I must compose something better. That's all. Now get out of here so I can get a good night's sleep. And of course, he did go on. It did get better. And that thing ran for, 200 years. And he became a very revered composer. So this story talks about circumstances in life and how, sometimes we come up to these obstacles, these circumstances that might set us back. And yet, if we keep our eye on the goal, if we fall back onto these principles that we talk about every week, this idea that there's a power in the universe greater than I am and I can use it. I mean, if that's the only principle you remember, but we remember God is good, goodness, love, joy, peace. These are the things for us to remember. Eric Butterworth once wrote, don't get discouraged. The problem of discouragement comes from neglect of the spiritual life. If we talked more with the power within and less with people, if we listened to the inner voice more and less to the clamorous, glamorous noises of the external world, then we would find a strength and courage that would ensure us against discouragement. Of course, if you love misery, if you want to nurse your feelings of failure, it's your privilege. But then don't blame science or the law of God if things go from bad to worse. It's what Eric Butterworth said. Now, most of us don't want things to go from bad to worse. And the good news, we have a choice. We can state our intention. We can call on that higher power, that power within, to be our partner, to move us along the way. Can do it in an enthusiastic way, like Charles Fillmore. He was the founder of Unity, and he said to me, 94 years old, when he said this, I fairly sizzle with joy and enthusiasm and spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me. 94 years old, he's sizzling, he's enthusiastic. And we're called to live like that. We're called to live bigger and braver and more dynamically, not dramatically, but dynamically. You can't serve the world by being little. We have to allow that light of God within us to let us be big. I can't be big without that power, but I have that power. We all have that power within us, and we can use it. And so when we come here a year from now, we look back on the year, we can say, wow, what an adventure this has been. I've soared to the heights. It's just been great. I've had more successes and exciting experiences than I could ever have dreamed about. I've done service work that made me feel fulfilled and happy and joyful. I've opened my heart and loved deeper than I've ever loved. And I let that light from that very creative source, that light within me, I've let that radiate to everything and everyone around me. Now, isn't that better than same old, same old? So that's what we're shooting for. That's what we want to say a year from now. So, if you want a little homework, the homework would be this. Let's set an intention to be infused with enthusiasm. Just set an intention to be infused with enthusiasm. God is that enthusiasm within us, and we can call upon it. And it always says yes. So let's maybe have that as a little homework assignment. Now I would ask you to take a deep breath and relax where you're at, and I'll do a spiritual mind treatment, which of course is an affirmative prayer around these words that I've just spoken. I know there is but one power in the universe, and that power is peace and love and joy and enthusiasm, balance. It's all good. Has the perfect solution to any perceived dilemma in my life. And I know I'm one with that very power. It experiences life in, through, and as me. It is my partner. And even though in the past I've had some tendencies to be lethargic or be distracted by day-to-day happenings in life, I now set an intention. Set an intention to keep my eye on that goal, trusting that power within me. Be like that female pig. Get in that truck, honk the horn, be enthusiastic. Enthusiastic about what is for me to do. What is for me to do on a daily basis? I am open to that guidance. And in gratitude that this word spoken is powerful, this word spoken is planted, and it is done unto me as I believe, I release these words for perfect manifestation. So it is.